Thank you for joining and coming to the community to view video part 2 on the editing and creating content course for one. To give a quick recap on where we've got to, but if you're watching this video part 2, then hopefully you've watched video part 1, and we've got as far as chapter 8 of 13. We're more than halfway now. And what we've done so far is we've gone through and quickly used inline editing to update some content, and you've completed the first of 3 exercises. There's another couple to go yet. So if we look at the community here as it is today, following the initial request to get the access, which was exercise 2, you would have asked your local intranet manager to review the page that was updated, exercise 3, and then exercise 4 was about asking your local intranet manager to view the page you created. And that's going to be the next task. We're now going to start creating pages, creating them from scratch, moving them around, and getting a little bit more involved via easy authoring, which is the next bit of the puzzle. So if we can go ahead, as you can see from the slide here, easy authoring is accessed via my workspace in the authoring environment. You won't see it in the rendering environment, but you will in authoring. So if we do as we did yesterday, we'll go into 1. And if you've set up a link to your authoring environment on the home page, as I have, you can click there. Or if you go into the authoring community, which will be listed under my communities, once you have had that access set up, you can always see this. And there it is, that's the author community. And what we're going to do is, same as yesterday, we're just going to click into that authoring URL. We're also going to have a look at the manual shortly as well. But for now, let's go into that authoring URL. And here we are. It is the exact same view as yesterday. It looks as if it's just one, whereas in reality, this is the authoring environment. So if you click on my workspace, because it's the authoring environment, you'll have an extra option. You will have that easy authoring listed, which you wouldn't normally see. So let's click on it. So what we can see now is that this is effectively looking behind the scenes a little bit now. This is basically us looking at the site as if we were viewing a collection of files using Windows Explorer, as if we were actually browsing through, and rather than looking at a web page, we were looking at files from the back end, as it were. So let me show you what that means. So I'm going to have a bit of a random look through UKEN. As I said during part 1, you'll be looking at content within UKEN or UK images, if there is imagery that we're saving, but pretty much it's always going to be UKEN. That's the English UK edition. Let's click into it. You can look at, there's only going to be 2 options that you'll use on here, the content or components. Content being about all the web pages, or Wickham pages as they're also known. Components being about the files that you can go in and help yourself to, or in fact that you can add to. So we're going to look into content first of all. So if we were to click into Home, About Us, Corporate Centre. I'm just going through at random here. What we do. You can see from the breadcrumb here that we're in Home, About Us, Corporate Centre. What we do. If we actually look at the live website here, Lotus, Corporate Centre, what we do. You can see that what we can do in Library Explorer is just go behind the scenes and look at the pages and browse through. So let's follow it further. Let's go into Group Marketing Communication and UK Insight. Group Marketing Communication, UK Insight. There we are. So we are basically having a look through the site, and you can see that in terms of the way it's structured, it's a little bit like a family tree. So if we go back up a level to Group Marketing Communication, we can see that, in fact, let's go even further into what we do. Now we can see, if we look at it here as well, that within this section there's what we do, which is the content here, and then we can see that there's children, finance risk strategy, group fraud, group internal audit, group market communication, technology and operations, human resources, UK partnership team, which is mirrored here. So we can see that there are children within here, and if you hover over them, in fact it says children. So these are all children within this area. So this is a very good example actually. This particular item here is currently being locked out by a colleague. As with any, well actually it's not even content management systems, it's the same with Word or any other application. Only one person can update a page at any one time. If you have more than one person trying to make changes to one file, you get version control issues. So for that reason, sometimes you'll see those little padlocks. Just to avoid having multiple versions of the same thing. So we'll go up a level, we can choose a different example. So we're in Corporate Centre, and we can see, oh, that one's also locked as well. But what we can do, if it's content that hasn't been updated for a little while or shouldn't be locked, we can unlock it as so. So in this particular scenario, I would have spoken to Editha, explained that the content needed to be unlocked, and she would either do it for me, which would be normally what would happen, or if she's given me the access to do so, I'll unlock it, and now I can change it. So now if I go into this content item, I'm not looking at the children yet, I just want to update the content of this page, which is basically this bit in the centre here. This is the content. So let's click on it and click on edit. Now this is the exact same information that you would have seen in part 1. You're capturing the same name, which is the one name, the title. There's also a description as well, which in that particular example would need to be improved a little bit, because that description would be what would be shown on search results. And that could be made a little bit more friendly. Title, exactly as per video 1. And we can also see that this is the content, and clicking on that opens the exact same editor. So this is exactly the same interface as when you're updating via inline editing. It's just that we have gone via the we've basically gone under the bonnet and accessed it via easy authoring. So we won't go through all those tools again, how to update the page, because that was covered previously. But what we'll say is that on this particular page here, we want to create another child. We want to create another of these children pages. So under Get Your Voice Heard, let's say that I want to get a new item. So let's do it. New. Site area first of all. So I want to basically create the child. So it would always be default site area template. So let's call this new site area for training. That's the name. That's the name that will be added to the navigation. You can also add it for display title as well. Is best practice. And you don't need to select location because it already knows, because of where you're working, that you're adding a child into corporate center, the last child on this occasion. So, and you don't need to publish it either, because this is content, this is a container, this is a pure site area. So if I click on save and close now, you can see that I've now got that new site area for training as the last child and that corporate center. So now, if I refresh this page, there it is, new site area for training. I've started to create my first page. If I click on that, I'll get a horrible error message. No content found for, and then a listing of where we are. And the reason why we get the horrible error message is because we've built the site area, but we haven't put anything in it yet. So if you go and look at the next one above, get your voice heard, that will have a little bit of content in. As with all the others, events, that has one bit of content in. If we go into what we do, that has content, but also additional children, so that goes another level down. But if we go into the one we've just created, new site area for training, it has nothing in it. So let's create something. So click on new, and this time instead of the site area, we'll choose the other one above the line, content, and it's default. It's always default. Once you've selected it once, it'll always be there on your list. If it's not there from day one, just click on select from all content templates, and in libraries click on shared design, and that has all the different templates in. 99 times out of 100 it'll be 80 default. These events, these links, these alerts, these are all just to do with people who are updating the home pages, internal comms people, promotions as well. For the vast majority of cases, 80 default is the option. And once you've selected it once, it'll always be there. And then it'll open up this blank page. And this is the exact same page that we've been through a couple of times already. It's asking for the exact same content for you to plug in. The only difference is that this time it's just not populated because you're building it from scratch. So it's reminding you of the location. You're basically building something in a new site area for training. So this time we do a new content item. Again, just be consistent, make the display title the same, which makes sense from an authoring perspective. Description, again, something friendly for search results, because people will find your content, and it's always good to when it's listed, to actually have something that's illustrative as to what's on the page. Let's continue through. So title. This will be the title for this page. And then I'll click on content, and this is again the same exact editor with all those very familiar looking options, including the 4 extra buttons that we covered in some detail yesterday, which I'm not going to cover again. I say yesterday, in video 1, I should say. So you would populate your content, and you would make as many iterations as you want. So you can develop your content, you can add whatever you need. You would add related information here, if you wanted to. That's the information on the right hand side. And you would save and close. You would keep on going and you'd keep on changing, and you would keep on save and closing until you were ready to actually publish it. So now it'll refresh back into the new site area for training. There's your content item you're working on. It's draft because you haven't made it live yet. And quite often people go in and they shape the content, they develop it, they paste it from Word, which, as I mentioned in video 1, will render correctly. And it'll go in several times, and eventually, when you're ready, rather than save and close, save and publish is the option. And now, there we go, it's moved to the stage. It's now showing as published. And there, we've got a published content item within a new site area. So now, if I refresh this page, if I click on new site area for training, we'll see that the content item I created is here. Title, there's the content, there's the related information such as it is. It'll show when it's published, and then when it needs to be reviewed, which is automatically 6 months in the future. And the fact that it was me that published and owned it, you will also get that published on your page as and when you create them. You can actually change the owner, if that would be more applicable, to change it to other people in your team. So going up a level, we can see that that new site area with its content in it has now gone live. It's gone live today. This is at 3:54 GMT plus 2 hours. That's actually an hour ahead. It's 2:54 as I'm recording this, so it's on Paris time. But the fact that it mentions it's plus GMT plus 2 hours is just to clarify as to when exactly it did go live, just in case that ever comes up. So now it's there. You can see, and this is the analogy that I often use, that a page is made up of that content item within the site area. And as a quick way to remember it, I always say that it's like a jar of jam. So the site area is your jar, and then the content item within it is the jam. If you have both of those things, then you have a page. If you have only one, then it will not work. It will not be a valid page. Once you've got your page, which is your site area with your content in, you can delete it. You can move it around. You can shuffle the order of pages. Let's say that we want to move this new site area for training from About Us. It actually needs to go into my workspace, let's say. So if you use more move command, so home, and again I'm just navigating through my workspace. Let's say it's in tools and resources somewhere. And let's say we want it in IT and technical assistance. So I might say that actually this needs to be, my test item here needs to be top of this list. It needs to be the first item and IT and technical assistance, in which case I'll make it the first child. Or I might want it to be last on this list after one, so I'd make it last child. On this occasion, I would like to say I will have it after email. So let's put it in Tools and Resources, IT and Technical Assistance after email. Click on OK, and it will then move it. Slowly, it seems. Whenever a page is moved, it normally takes a little while, as you just saw, because all the links that are going into it, as I mentioned in video 1, get updated. So what the system was doing there was just quickly checking that there were no links going into the page, and if there were, I'd be surprised that I just created it, but if there were any links, it would have updated it for its new location, which was in my workspace, Tools and Resources, IT and Technical Assistance. And there it is, where I asked it to go. New site area for training. If I want to then continue building, I can keep on building downwards. If I wanted, for example, there to be another child within here, so let's look at it. Let's go into my workspace to where the page now is. IT and technical assistance, and I put it in, it's right here, new site area for training. So if I wanted to have another child page and build further downwards, then I would simply do this in here by new site area, default, and then I'd just do what I just did. I would repeat it. So I would then create a site area. I'd go into the site area, create a new content item. I would make my changes. I would save and publish it. Eventually it would be published, probably after a few iterations. And when it was then live, I would then have a child for that page, and that would be represented in navigation as well. Obviously, don't build down too many levels, because it's not very useful to have content buried deep down. The further you have to click, the more clicks to get to something, the more complicated and convoluted it can be for people to get to your content, which isn't what you want. You want to be nicely surfaced. So there we go. That is the new page. So if we were to do a quick recap on what we've just covered there. So we look behind the scenes. Site areas and content items are what constitutes a page, and it is very much like a family tree. Except in this case here, on this particular family tree, it would be inverted. So at the top you might have my workspace, then you would link to IT and technical assistance, then you would, in this case now, link to test page I've just created, which would be in the middle of the tree there, and downwards. It's very much like a family tree. The site area is the container, and the content item within it is your jam. Put the two together and you have a page. Once you've completed the page, you can keep on updating it and keep on saving it, and only when you click on save and publish will it then be visible and viewable. So that brings us neatly to exercise 4. So I would like, if we go back to that community, so if we go back into that community, one training, exercise 4. So I would like each of you to create a page in your new structure, and to go in and create the site area, and then to drop some content in it. I'd then like your local intranet manager as listed to be able to go in and review your content. What you could do as part of that same exercise is also flag any pages that you've moved around using that move command. Which was under more. Indeed, you could also show and explain to them where you've made changes and you've deleted content as well. Which, bearing in mind, this is a live part of the site, I'm going to do now with this one. Always be very careful hitting that delete button. So, delete. Okay. I'll just check that I'm sure that I want to delete, which I am. And there you go. So that new page, which I originally created in About Us, which I then use the move command to move into IT and technical assistance, and I've now deleted it. And that, once you have been able to create one page and then be able to move it around, once you've done that once, you'll be able to then do it for any number of iterations to build your content, to build your section as required. And that's a fundamental part of creating content using one. You'll notice over on the left here, there is this personal views option. What it allows you to do, if you click on it, you can see recent items that you've been working on, and it'll list, and sometimes this is useful if you're working on a number of content items. It'll list out all the site areas and content, and also components, which we're going to come to shortly, or files if you prefer, that you've been working on. So at any one point you can quickly go in. These are all things that I've been working on recently. I can, from this view, quickly go in and edit any of these. But what I wanted to look at now is my deleted items. And if I was to sort these deleted items, and if I was to organise by date deleted, by date descending, you can see that sitting in here are, that's exactly what we just developed, and we deleted just now. And once you are able to get these, you get the option. You get the option by clicking versions to restore. You can restore it as published, or you can restore it as draft. So if you do accidentally go in and delete content, you can very quickly restore it into personal views, my deleted items. Now we're going to cover files next, and uploading documents into one. Now in the most cases, whether you're working with structure charts, whether you're working with menus for certain locations, whether you're working with templates to be able to use the correct email signature or anything, there are a multitude of different reasons for putting files into the intranet. And in most cases, you will be using this next methodology that we're going to go through now. If, however, you work in an area such as HR where documents are very jealously guarded and locked down, so that in some cases literally only a couple of people in the UK can update them for obvious reasons, then we will require a separate session. We will need to update such documents like that via a document repository in Quickr. But because that's not applicable in the vast majority of cases, we're going to quickly show you how to do it using easy authoring. So let's click back into Library Explorer. So I would like to create a document, and as I showed you in video 1, there is, once you have a file in one, it is very quickly. It's a very quick process to link to it. So I'm going to click on New. I'm not going to link. I'm not going to create a site area or content this time. I'm going to create a file, a component. So if you hover over component, file resource is the option if you're looking to upload your document into one. So let's click on it. And what you can do here is name it, give it the one name, which needs to be logical. You need to be able to find this quickly in the future. So let's say that we are linking to an OBS menu. You name it appropriately. As is the convention, have the display title be the same. And what you do, I mean, it really defaults to UKN, which is the correct location for files. And what you do is simply click on the Browse button there to upload your file. So you click on Browse, and the system will then look at your My Documents. And what you do is you then simply select it. You find your file. So let's say it's a PowerPoint document. Let's say that that is the menu I'm looking to update. I'll click on it, and it will then, if I click on Save and Close, I don't need to publish it because it's not a web page. If I click on Save and Close, it will then upload that document. And that document may be a PDF, it might be a Word document, it might be Excel, Access. It can be a whole host of different things. Only certain items aren't allowable. So I have updated a file into UKN, and I might do that a few times. I might have to work with a few files, so new component file resource, and then I'll name it and upload accordingly. So let's now say that I want to link to the document. So I'll just click to my page. So this particular page is a child of IT and technical assistance, so in one intranet. So let's say on one resources, that page there, that I want to link to that document that I've just updated, and let's say that I want to do it in related information, which is currently blank. I'll click into related information, and it will open up the editor, and it will automatically assign a margin on the right hand side of the page where information I put in there can be presented. So let's call it what it is. Link to OBS menu. Click on link, as we did yesterday. Not yesterday, in video 1. Click on browse content. And we're linking to components. So now I've got two options. Either I can search for my document, or most quickly, if I just sort all these files by last saved and do it date descending, there it is. There's my OBS menu that I've just put in to ease the authoring. Click on the radio button and OK. And that's embedded my link. So now, if I click on Save and Close, and one resources is now updated with that link. So what I can do is, rather than open up another window and have a look at it, I can click on Preview. And Preview, just default it to Preview as a web content portal page. And then it will just show me my page. One resources with the link to the OBS menu there. If I click on that, it will then open it. I'll cancel that. And then once you're working with your content, once you're previewing it here, if you realise that actually you don't want that to go live yet, you want to strip it out, click on Edit. And quickly go into related information and strip it out. Save and close. Again, you don't need to save and publish because it's already a published piece of information, and there we go. That's now taken out. So, unsurprisingly, the next task, exercise 5, relating to uploading your documents in one, is to go in and replace a document or upload a new one, as we did just then. You put the document in, and then go into the thread in the community and just ask your local intranet manager just to check the document that you uploaded. Some of them will be just, it'll be simply the case that you'll be adding in new ones. As it said just then, sometimes you might be updating existing ones. So if I go back up a few levels and click on components, let's say the OBS menu that I just created, let's say someone created that previously, and actually I just want to do a new version. So what I'm doing is I've just gone into UKN components again, and I've sorted it, and there it is. So if I'm not creating new documents, I'm updating existing, check the box, edit. And what I would do is just upload a new one over the top. So again, this is an unrelated file that I just happen to have. There you go. Save and close. So in this particular instance, I have updated an existing document as opposed to creating one. Once you've done that, and either's fine for the purposes of exercise 5, once you have done that, if you then notify your local intranet manager, they'll just go in and just have a look to see if there's a good description, so it appears in search results, see if we've got any further feedback or changes, or if anything else was missed. On this occasion, because this isn't required, this is just a test item, I'm going to delete it there. And exactly the same with yourself. If you no longer require documentation that's in there, you can take the file out and delete it like that. And there you go. That has now been taken back out again. So that is the final exercise for this editing content course. Is replacing that document and then, or uploading a new one, and then asking your local intranet manager to check. So when you're all set, when you've completed all 5 exercises that we've covered over these 2 videos, add your name to this thread. And once you add your name onto that thread, I will, or your local intranet manager will make sure that your access is all set up. So from that point on, you will be able to go in and use one at your convenience, whether it be going in, getting into that authoring environment, and then updating content, so via the little drop down. In a lot of cases, this is all a lot of people do. I'll go in and I'll keep on tweaking. Or if you're actually going in and you're going to be working around with new pages, new sections, moving content around, creating files, uploading them and linking to them. And that's all done via easy authoring, as has been covered via this video. Regardless, whichever it is that you're going to be doing following this course, once you've notified us that you have completed and you've added your name and that final piece of the jigsaw, you will be free to make content amends as you wish at your convenience. The one thing I will stress is that you do have your intranet managers to hand. We're here to assist, and we're only ever a click away. If in the footer of every single one page is a contact link, and each of us are listed. This list may change over time as people change roles, but there'll always be a list of your intranet managers here. If you have any queries, or if you'd like to cover anything else, you can contact us directly, or you can start a topic within the communities here. And either way, we'll quickly answer your queries and get you working. That is the final slide for this course. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for sitting through both videos. The videos remain here as a point of reference if you want to refer back to them. You also have the manual as well in the authoring community. So again, it'll be listed in your communities here. You may not get a ridiculous amount of communities as I have here, so you might not need to scroll or to search, but yeah, that UK1 Wickham Communities does have that manual, which you also have as a reference as well. And that manual looks like this, and it covers inline editing, it covers the different views, it covers the use of snippets as well, for being able to have box layouts and things. But this, along with your local intranet manager, should be able to give you everything you need to create attractive and engaging content. Thank you very much for listening, and happy authoring.